Hey guys, what's up? My name is John and you're watching the Student Nurse channel. For today's video, I'm going to be recommending 5 tips to follow when you start your first clinical placement. Now, this is more something I recommend for first years, especially for those people who's never had any medical job or has never done any medical volunteering. I know most of the universities here in the UK have probably already started their placements, but here at the University of Surrey, I believe they're about to start soon, or will be, within a month or two. So I'm just dropping about 5 tips to kind of follow. That'll probably make your life a lot easier once you actually start your placement. So let's go ahead and jump into that.
Okay, so tip number 1. I try and recommend a lot of people to kind of read up on what their placement specializes in, whether that's an orthopedic, GI surgery, ICU or A&E. Just get a bit of research on what it is that they specialize in. It'll help you a lot once you actually do go in there, because you know exactly what you're dealing with. Now, I also recommend kind of looking into their most common cases. So with regards to orthopedics, they normally get a lot of nickel femur fracture, a bunch of ORIFs, and total knee replacement, hip replacements. So maybe look into those, try and find out what exactly they mean, what are the procedures, and also try and look into the care plans. Because once you have a patient who has had those surgeries, you know exactly what you need to follow, the guidelines, and impress your mentors and the other nurses, because you already have a bit of a research and it shows how much you are willing to learn. So, and also try and look at what your hospital as a whole specializes in. So for example, in St. George's, they focus, I think, mainly in neuro as well as liver. Chelsea, Westminster focus on burns unit. So have a look into that one, because you never know, you might have a chance to kind of say, hey, can I go to the burns unit to see how to deal with burns patients and many more. So that's tip number 1, is just do a bit of research on where you're going to be going to.
So tip number 2, this is something that's a lot easier said than done, but it'll work. It can work if you really do kind of put a lot of effort into it, and that is try and get yourself familiar with everyone that works within your ward. Try and get to know them, try and converse and say, hey, my name is whatever. I'm one of the student nurses that's going to be here for the next 6-7 months, or not 6-7 months, but 6-7 weeks, and just kind of may I ask who you are and what you do. I know this is not always the most easiest approach to try and get in contact with someone or trying to get yourself familiarized, but it does help. Whether that's the pharmacist, if you're sitting at the desk, say, hey, what's your name, by the way? Oh yeah, are you the pharmacist? And then they'll, yeah, and then you know exactly who they are. That goes with the doctors, the physios, the OTs. Now, depending on the type of person you are, this may be easy or it may be hard, but at least put a bit of effort in to kind of just get to know everyone, because you're working there for a long time, so it'll be beneficial for you to actually get to know everyone. Also, try and learn each and everyone's role, so that way you know exactly what they can do, what they're responsible for, and whether that can enhance and help your patient through your own actions, through your own initiatives. So that's tip number 2, and I feel like that's probably one of the most important tips I can actually give you guys, because knowing everyone, especially within a ward, we're all working within the multidisciplinary team. So it's a beneficial tip that I recommend you guys following. So let's go ahead and go to tip number 3. So tip number 4, and this is probably doesn't need to apply to everyone, but it is a great help. Like I said, if you're a first year and has never done any medical work or any volunteerings and just never really had any patient interactions before, and that is try and work with the healthcare assistants. Not all the time. I recommend in the first week try and help out with them. Don't always stick with them, because that's not your job. You're not there to learn what they do, but it is a huge help trying to understand what they do, and in my opinion, it allows you to improve your bedside manners with the patient, as well as your patient connections, as well as communications. It also gives you the opportunity to kind of get used to how the ward works, their routine, whether it's the first thing is whether it's patient care or breakfast, bed making. Huge help knowing the routine. And also, like I said before, you're working a multidisciplinary team. You're always there to help each other. But you just got to make sure that you're not being told every time to be like, hey, you're working with the healthcare assistant there in Bay 1 or Bay 2, because that's not really your job. If your mentor is kind of like just work with them for the morning and I'll teach you the rest, perfect, that's fine. But if they're always telling you just do that, then you might want to flag that up. But try and get a lot of experience and knowledge, because to be honest, majority of the healthcare assistants know a lot. I remember my first healthcare assistant taught me how to put on the TED stockings, which are probably like the most annoying thing to put onto a patient, which is kind of compression socks, and taught me a technique. So you learn a lot from healthcare assistants, but again, don't be used as a healthcare assistant. It's not what you're there for. Okay, so that's tip number 4. Okay, so this is tip number 5, and this is going to be the last one, which I feel very, very passionately about this, and especially within learning here as a student nurse, and that is try and take every opportunity you can, simply because that's the only way you're going to learn. So if someone says, hey, do you want to do a dressing with me, do you want to take out a chest drain, do you want to watch a specific surgery, I highly recommend saying yes. Now if it's something that you're not comfortable with, maybe say, hey, can I not do it today or this time, or can I watch you do it, or watch you multiple times until you find more confidence in yourself to actually give it a try. But don't just be like, no, I don't want to do it, and kind of just end up doing nothing else. So like I said, take every opportunity that's been given to you. That's the only way to learn, and it's a great experience, and also it shows how willing you are on learning to be a nurse. So that's 5 tips I recommend when starting your clinical rotation, especially if you're a first year and has never done any medical experience, whether that's working in a hospital or any volunteering. Hopefully you guys, if you've already started your placement, are having a wonderful time, and for those who will be starting soon, I'm sure you guys will enjoy it. So you all take care now.